Dear Diary, alright, I was on my way to finishing up this journey. I hopped on Epona and prepared to visit the very last temple. But I may have stopped to disobey a sign. Fuck you! In reality, I probably should have listened because I flowed downstream and ended up back at the lake. I'm gonna call this one a mulligan. I hopped on Epona and made my way to the desert. Luckily, I didn't have to worry about the Gerudo fortress, since I had already skillfully infiltrated the thieves' hideout and earned their trust. I had already been in the desert once, and this time wasn't any nicer. I wasn't allowed to take Epona, so I was forced to walk through a miserable sandstorm with no protection from my face holes. Since I had the hover boots, I stopped by the magic carpet guy to see what brilliant things he had to say. Diary, I must be the world's biggest idiot because I agreed to blindly pay 200 rupees for a rare and exotic item. I prayed it would be a magic genie bottle and I could wish for all this to be over, but he gave me bomb chews instead. Thanks, Aladdin. These are even more useless than Deku seeds. I grumpily continued along the trail until I came to the dead end once again. But this time, I had the Eye of Truth, and as soon as I pulled it out, a ghostie appeared, beckoning me to follow. However, I quickly learned that this bitch-ass ghost was trying to lose me, as he zigzagged along the world's most confusing path. And Diary, just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, Jello molds popped out of the ground and started attacking me. This had to be the worst desert I've ever been in. I finally made it to the spirit temple, which was just a giant rock with a massive naked lady carved into it. I guess she was supposed to be the desert colossus, but unless she was going to spring to life and save me from the aggressive desert deserts, I could give a shit. There wasn't much inside but a small hole, and Link was being too adult to crawl through it, so I looked around for further clues. The statue suggested that I come back as a small child to progress forward, but I knew there was no fucking way the game was making me go back through all that shit again, right? Right? Unfucking believable. I walked outside fuming, but was saved from the inevitable by Sheik. I had never been happier to see her cross-dressing ass as she taught me the Requiem of Spirit, also known as Desert Shortcut. Now journeying to the Temple of Time, transforming into a toddler, then traveling back to the desert took 2 seconds, instead of like 50 goddamn years. 7 years into the past, the Spirit Temple looked exactly the same, except now there was a sexy sand lady hanging around the hole I was too much of a man to crawl through. Turns out she was Nabooru, the same woman all the thieves looked up to. I tried to play it cool to impress her, but said all the wrong things, just like in real life. I thought she was in cahoots with Ganondorf, but quickly learned she despised him as she gave me a little Gerudo history lesson. Apparently, the Gerudo race consisted of only females, and one male is born every 100 years and becomes king. Even though Ganondorf is technically king, Nabooru vowed never to bow to him. Whoa, wait a minute. You're telling me that Ganondorf could be living it up as King of the Sands, up to his ears in Pikachu, and he's instead storming castles and stealing Triforces and assaulting princesses? Get a fucking grip, man, and start rethinking your life. Nabooru planned to fuck up his home base, and I agreed to help. I liked her. She was sassy and ballsy, and I decided we were going to be best friends. So I squeezed through the hole, promising her the treasure I found inside. I then had to overcome a series of annoying obstacles. I definitely could have done without the razor blade lizards, and the pot-bellied stove with laser eyes. But the creepy suns were cool, when they weren't scaring the shit out of me. But this guy was a fucking disaster. Bomb chews away! No? Alright, cool then. Perched inside the Colossus' hand, I found the chest that held the silver gauntlets. But when I turned around, I saw 2 witches sucking Nabooru into the ground. No! My sexy sand lady friend! Since all I have are my stubby little crumb snatcher arms, all I could do was watch as the witches went back into the temple, getting away scot-free. But that wasn't happening on my watch. I went back to the Temple of Time and time traveled again. Ugh, this had to be killer on my joints. All this growing and shrinking and growing and shrinking. I mean, I went to the temple ready to kick some ass. Went through pretty much all the annoying obstacles as before. Fought some stoves and some fire slugs. Got a mirror shield that I don't really have footage of because I forgot to hit record on AverMedia. And made it to the big indoor Colossus statue ready to save my new best friend. Inside the statue, I came face to face with a pair of sister witches who kept calling me outrageous. I'll tell you what's outrageous. Your misshapen heads! I had to fight another iron knuckle, which meant we swung our swords wildly around, completely missing each other. I got the upper hand and was able to knock its armor off, only to reveal it had been a brainwashed Nibiru all along. The witches were not pleased and zapped her into another dimension once again. Dang, that girl can't get a break. I was free to enter the real boss room where I finally battled the two sisters. I used their powers of fire and ice against each other until they formed a saucy mutant woman that I wanted no part of. Once I killed her with a final slash of my sword, she separated back into the sisters once again, and Nintendo thought it would be fun to show them bickering in the afterlife, but I was not smiling. Why did they have halos? I thought bad guys went to hell, not heaven. I guess they both must be dogs. Heyo! For the last and final time, I said goodbye to the hostile sandcastle and went to the Chamber of Sages. Nibiru appeared as the sixth and final sage, lending me all the power in the spirit medallion. You know, I've been collecting all these medallions for the entire game, and I think this extra power stuff is kinda bullshit, Diary. I don't feel any stronger than I did on day one. But oh well. According to Mutton Chops over here, I was ready to venture forth and defeat Ganondorf. Until next time, your doubtful friend, Brittany Saturn.